single mom with a 5-year-old child. After catching her husband cheating, she decided to leave and start over in New York City, bringing along her son, Parker, who happens to be a genius. Thinking that life as a secretary for a CEO would be peaceful, she never thought it would only add to her headaches because of how mischievous her boss is. Meanwhile, Ethan Abram has been dubbed the golden boy of their family because of his exceptional intelligence, which has become the greatest asset of their company. However, despite his brilliance, Ethan is lazy when it comes to dealing with people, especially during board meetings. That's why Jenna is always the one who attends those meetings on his behalf. Ethan also developed a habit of playing puzzles and mind games with her son, and for some unknown reason, he had trouble beating the kid. Since then, Ethan hasn't left them alone. Not because of any grudge, but because he just can't accept that the boy is smarter than he is. But what if the toughest puzzle Ethan has ever faced can't be solved by his brain, but by his heart? A loud rooster crow could be heard around the neighborhood, mixed with the blaring sound of the alarm clock. At the same time, a sharp and excited voice came from a little creature who suddenly pounced on her. "Mommy, wake up! Mommy!" Parker's cheerful voice echoed as he tried to wake his mum. Jenna groaned as she felt her son climbing on her, turning to him with her eyes still closed. "Parker, it's still early," she complained softly. "Mommy, wake up. We're leaving today, right?" her son asked, with a big smile before lying on top of her. Jenna could only smile as she looked at her son. Her 5-year-old Parker was a little chubby, which made his weight quite noticeable as he lay on her, but she didn't mind. She loved seeing him this close. Just like his father, Parker's handsome features were already evident. Add to that his thick eyebrows, which made the boy's charm even more striking. Jenna smiled again as she watched Parker, who was still trying to pull her hand to make her get up. "Mommy, wake up already. You said we're going to play today," Parker said with a pout, resting his chin on her chest. He looked even cuter now with that pout. Jenna immediately cupped both of his cheeks in her hands, which made his pout stick out even more. "But Mommy's tired, baby. Can we play tomorrow instead?" she answered, pretending to be exhausted. The boy's eyes showed a hint of sadness. "Really, Mummy? You said we were going to play today," he said, still pouting, before burying his face into her. Jenna just laughed softly and pulled him into a tight hug. "Sorry, baby. Mommy's just teasing you," she said warmly. Anya laughed softly as she looked at her child again. "Really, Mommy? You're just joking, huh?" Parker asked, as if coming to life again after hearing that. Jenna couldn't help but smile, feeling joy at her son's reaction, and immediately showered him with kisses. "My baby is just too cute. Come here, sweetheart. Mwah!" she exclaimed as she rained kisses on the boy's cheeks. Parker burst out laughing at what his mum did. A moment later, they felt another person coming close and hugging them both. "My two sweethearts look so happy. Let me join in too." Joseph, Jenna's husband, playfully wrapped his arms around them, making Parker giggle and Jenna squeal. They had been married for 5 years. Joseph was a kind and patient husband. Their life together had been happy, and Jenna often thought of him as the perfect husband. He had been her high school crush, the heartthrob of their campus. She never imagined that he would actually pursue her when they were in college. He hugged them both tightly as they lay together on the bed. "Dad, are we going to play today, or do you have work again?" Parker asked curiously. Joseph smiled and ruffled his son's hair. "Of course, we'll play today." "Yay, and Mommy and I are going to have our own game tonight," Joseph added with a teasing grin, looking at Jenna. Jenna smacked him on the arm, blushing. "Joseph, stop that. It's too early for your nonsense." "What?" "I said tonight, after dinner," he replied with a grin, earning another playful slap from Jenna. "You're impossible. Behave," she said, rolling her eyes, but she couldn't help smiling. After sharing some laughter, they all got out of bed and headed to the kitchen. It was Sunday, which meant family day for them. After having breakfast together, they prepared to go to the park. Jenna put on a floral dress and paired it with her summer hat. She had fair skin, a straight, delicate nose, soft lips, and a gentle face. The dress perfectly matched her graceful, slender figure. She wasn't particularly tall, but with her heels she appeared taller. They all went to the park together, radiating happiness as a family. Parker immediately pulled out his puzzle game board. "Oh, sweetheart, why did you bring that?" Jenna asked. "Because Dad and I are going to play with it," Parker replied proudly. Suddenly, the cheerful moments they once shared felt like memories too far gone. Now, all Jenna could do was cry. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. I'm sorry," she said, unable to stop the tears from falling. "Mommy's crying," Parker said softly, his little hand tapping her shoulder gently. "Mommy, it's okay. I'm here, Mommy," the boy whispered, trying to comfort her. She stayed like that for hours, crying quietly until Parker himself brought her a drink, trying to calm her down. That evening, she received a message from Joseph saying that he had to work overtime and wouldn't be home until the next day around noon. Instead of replying, she threw the phone onto the bed and began packing their things. She waited until Parker had fallen asleep, then quietly packed up their belongings. The next morning, they had breakfast, and just as the clock struck 10 a.m., Joseph came home with a smile, ready to hug her. But he stopped when he noticed her swollen eyes. "Jenna, did you cry, baby?" "Wait, what happened?" he asked, his voice hesitant, as if afraid to come closer. But instead of letting him approach, Jenna hurled the phone at him. "Don't you dare come near me, you bastard!" she shouted angrily. Joseph froze, shocked. "Baby, what's wrong?" "I'm sorry. I just had to work overtime because there's so much work at the office. That's why I couldn't come home." Jenna let out a bitter laugh. "Overtime at work? Or overtime with your sexy little girlfriend? Oh, wait, her name's Tina, right?" Joseph didn't know what to say. "Don't even try to deny it, Joseph. I saw your text messages. There are even pictures. Your co-worker's wife sent them to me. You were in Cavite yesterday with that cheap woman." Joseph's face paled, not knowing how Jenna found out. He could only attempt to apologize. "Jenna, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for you to find out." "Joseph, I'm not stupid. I felt something was wrong for days. But I didn't doubt you until I saw the evidence." Joseph tried to step closer, but Jenna stepped away. "Jenna, please, baby. I'm sorry. I'll change. Please." "Sorry? You're not sorry because you cheated. You're only sorry because you got caught. Would you have apologized if I hadn't caught you? Would you have changed if I hadn't seen those messages? No. You cheated because you wanted to cheat on us in the first place." "I'm sorry, baby. Please give me a second chance." Jenna shook her head, her eyes cold and determined. "I told you, Joseph. On the very day we got married, I said that if you ever betray me, there will be no second chances. I'll leave you, no matter how much it hurts. I'll leave you even if I feel like I can't survive it. That's how my parents raised me, and you know that." Joseph was speechless, tears filling his eyes at her words. Jenna didn't waste any more time. She carried her sleeping son and grabbed their luggage. "Don't worry. I've already submitted an appeal for our joint account. You'll still have something left, but I'm taking most of it. For my child," she said, turning away. "Jenna, wait. Why are you leaving so fast? Where will you go? You can't handle this alone without me. I'm the man of the house. Let me be the father of our son." "Man of the house? No, Joseph. The moment you cheated, the house you're talking about collapsed. I'll be both father and mother to Parker from now on." She left, and they took the bus. There was nothing Joseph could do. It was painful for Jenna to walk away, but she had to stand by her decision. For her son. She moved to New York City with Parker. Though life was tough, she tried to raise her son on her own. Her savings helped them survive, so they were still in decent condition. She applied for a position as a managing assistant in a well-known company. Because of her strong credentials, she got accepted without much trouble. Jenna had graduated with a degree in business administration and was pursuing a double major in accounting, but her pregnancy with Parker prevented her from finishing the second degree. Still, she graduated with multiple awards and was even a magna cum laude. No wonder she got hired quickly. It's good that your job isn't too hard for your situation, Jenna, her co-worker Gina said as they ate together with Parker. Of course it's hard, but I have no choice. I'll do everything for my son, Jenna answered. She had been working there for 2 months and had already grown close to some of her co-workers. That's true. At least you have someone to watch Parker. That boy is just too cute. I bet he's the life of the office if he's anything like this, Gina teased, pinching Parker's cheeks. Parker pouted and ran off to play with another kid he'd just met at the diner. He's a handful, Jenna laughed. If I had to bring him to work, I'd probably get fired immediately. But really, Jenna, why did you leave your husband? Gina asked carefully. To be honest, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I've moved on, and I've accepted that I chose the wrong man. I married the wrong guy. Has he been cheating for a long time? Maybe he was just tempted. Maybe he'd change if you gave him another chance. Gina, married life isn't like the love stories you see on TV. Reality is different. If you give them a second chance, they'll just do it again. And I know I don't deserve that kind of treatment. I know my worth. I told him that before we even stood at the altar. That's one thing I can never forgive. My parents didn't raise me to be anyone's fool. It was his choice to cheat. Why? Because he couldn't keep his zipper closed, because he wanted to stick it into someone else. Whoa. Well, you do deserve better, girl, Gina said. If he wasn't satisfied with me, he should have just told me. I would have gladly shoved his damn thing into a meat grinder to make him happy. That thing has more vibration than any toy anyway, Jenna said through gritted teeth. Gina winced at her words. Wow, you're brutal. If I had to deal with a man like that, I'd do it. Now I realize there's nothing special about him. Sure, he's good-looking, hot even, but what else did he give me? Nothing. Maybe just one thing. His sperm. Because that's how Parker came to be. Gina laughed. She could feel how much Jenna's anger still lingered for her ex-husband. Right. What good is a good-looking man if he's just going to cheat? Exactly. And now that I think about everything, I don't regret leaving him at all. I'm glad I walked away. True. At least he gave you a handsome kid, but other than that, worthless. Worthless because of his skinny stick? Ha! You're insane, Jenna replied, laughing as they both burst into laughter. Yes, Miss Jenna. Don't worry, this promotion comes with more incentives and perks, the manager said with a smile, which made Jenna even more excited. This was a huge opportunity for her, especially since her expenses with Parker were increasing. She didn't hesitate to accept. However, she didn't expect that the main branch would be far from where they currently lived. So, she needed to move. Why don't you just stay here with us? We have an extra room, Gina offered. Her place was closer to Jenna's new workplace. Thank you, Gina. I'll pitch in for the house expenses too, Jenna replied. No problem, Jenna. The only issue is that no one can watch Parker because I have to work too. Don't worry, I'll figure something out. I don't want to add to your stress, Jenna said with a smile. Gina helped her pack her things. Meanwhile, a man was busy reviewing and signing documents when his secretary suddenly entered. Come in, he said sharply as the door opened. It was Henry, one of his trusted staff members, reporting on the company's current status and their logistics issues. Ethan, focused on the tablet screen, listened intently. His posture, his presence, and the professional aura he exuded gave off a powerful impression to anyone who encountered him. Have you already informed the chairman about this? Ethan asked the man in front of him. Yes, sir. He also mentioned that he wants your advice on this before taking any action. Ethan nodded slightly at his subordinate's response, his expression serious as he studied the papers in his hands. Ethan Abrin is the youngest son of the Abrin family and the current CEO of their company. His older brother, Andrew Abrin, is the chairman who oversees all of the family's businesses. Even so, there's no denying that Ethan has a unique gift. Among his siblings, he's considered the golden boy because of his exceptional intelligence. While Andrew excels in company management and handling people, Ethan is regarded as the brain of the company. His sharp mind has saved multiple businesses and investments from bankruptcy. Okay, This is noted. I'll get back to you about this, Ethan said, though it was clear his subordinate wasn't satisfied with the answer. Sir, would you like me to remind you about this? The man asked hesitantly. Just tell my secretary. Oh, wait, I don't have one anymore since Miss Dog resigned. Fine, remind me about it tomorrow. Noted, sir. Thank you, Ethan replied, and the man walked out of the office. Once his subordinate left, Ethan slumped back into his chair, his lips curling in a pout. His face showed nothing but boredom and fatigue. A few moments later, his phone rang, breaking the silence. Hello, Ethan. Did you receive the report I sent? Andrew's voice came from the other end. Yes, Andrew. I'll go through it tomorrow. No, I need it tonight, Ethan. I know you'll forget about it if you put it off again. Besides, you need to present this to the board tomorrow afternoon. I need to review it in advance. But Andrew, I'm not in the mood. Come on, Ethan. Get it together. You're the CEO now, and you have to own your position in this company. Ethan's pout deepened as he listened to his brother's scolding. Without another word, he hung up before Andrew's lecture got any longer. If there's one thing people often notice about Ethan, it's his dislike for social interaction. He hates talking to people and usually sends his secretary to attend those types of meetings in his place. But since his secretary resigned, he had no choice but to present to the board himself tomorrow. He let out a heavy sigh and leaned back in his chair. When is my new secretary starting again? What was her name? Yana? Jaya? Ah, Jenna. Jenna from the Brooklyn branch. She seems competent. I just hope she's good at communication so I don't have to deal with people, he muttered before closing his eyes, letting out another sigh. Meanwhile, Jenna was busy fixing herself in front of the mirror. It was her first day at the company's main office in Manhattan. Even from a distance, she could already see the towering building where she would be working. Hello. Good morning. I'm Jenna, the new hire for the executive department, particularly for the CEO's office, she introduced herself with a polite smile. Hello, Miss Jenna. Yes, I was informed about your arrival. Have you been waiting long? Jenna shook her head. No, I just got here. Andrew, who had been nearby, spoke up. I apologize for what you overheard earlier, and for Ethan suddenly passing the presentation on to you. As you may have heard, he hates dealing with people, but I'm glad you'll be assisting him with that from now on. You did a great job with the presentation earlier. I truly admire how you work, he said with a warm smile. Jenna felt a surge of happiness from his words. Oh, thank you, sir. It's my pleasure, she replied gratefully. A few moments later, Andrew excused himself, and Jenna stepped into the CEO's office. She found Ethan putting some cash on his desk. Good after... Before Jenna could finish, Ethan approached her with a smile and placed both hands on her shoulders. Good job, Jenna. You saved me. You know, I hate presentations. I don't like speaking in front of a crowd. People just ask stupid questions to make you look bad, and I hate stupid people. But you... Yeah, I was right. I made the right decision trusting you with this, Ethan said with a grin. Jenna was stunned. This reaction was nothing like the cold, unapproachable man she had imagined. Her first impression of him was that he was grumpy and rarely smiled, but this side of him was different. Thank you, sir, she said shyly. From now on, you'll be my secretary. No, the best secretary I've ever had. I'll expect great things from you, Miss Jenna Madrigal, he said, still smiling. Jenna couldn't help but feel a little giddy at the praise, especially coming from her CEO. Thank you, sir. I'll do my best to work even harder, she replied earnestly. Good. Good luck, Jenna, he said before returning to his seat. And by the way, I want to reward you for what you did today. Even though it's your first day, just let me know what you want, and I'll get it for you. Jenna's eyes widened, caught between happiness and surprise. Thank you so much, sir. If that's the case, may I request something? Yeah, sure, as long as I can do it. I'd like to bring my son here to the office whenever he doesn't have school. I don't have anyone to look after him at home. I'll make sure he won't disturb my work, she said, her voice cautious. Ethan's forehead creased slightly. You have a son." His tone carried a mix of surprise and a hint of disappointment. "Ah, yes, sir." Ethan paused, deep in thought, before facing her again. "Okay, I'll allow it, but make sure he doesn't run around or make noise here. Are we clear? I can't stand noisy or unruly people, aside from stupid ones." His tone was serious, making Jenna swallow nervously. She recognized her boss's voice. "Parker?" she whispered in her mind, and immediately ran to her office. When she opened the door, puzzle pieces were scattered all over the floor. She saw Parker standing there, looking at Ethan. "Parker!" she cried, rushing over to hug him. Fearful of her boss's reaction, she quickly bowed and apologized. "Sir, I'm sorry. Did my son bother you? I'll clean this up right away," she said nervously. "How did you do that? How did you win against me?" Ethan asked, still staring at Parker in disbelief. Parker shrugged, a small laugh escaping his lips. "I don't know, sir. I just thought of it," the boy replied. Jenna frowned, confused by their exchange, and took Parker's hand to scold him. But before she could, Ethan knelt down, holding Parker by the shoulders. "I need a rematch." Ethan spoke seriously to the boy, but Parker quickly moved away and wrapped his arms around his mother's leg. "Mommy, I'm hungry," he said, looking up at her. Jenna crouched down to meet her son's eyes. "Sweetheart, we need to say sorry. Mommy could get in trouble. What happened? Did you upset him?" she asked gently. "But Mommy, you said not to say sorry if I didn't do anything wrong." "And I didn't do anything wrong," Parker replied firmly. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" Jenna asked, her brows furrowing. Ethan stood up and faced them. "Okay, I'll have food sent here so you can eat," Ethan said, looking at the boy. "Yay! I want a burger! Burger! Burger!" Parker shouted, raising his hands in excitement. Sir, I'm sorry," Jenna started. "Don't apologize, Jenna. Parker's right. He didn't do anything wrong, aside from the fact that he beat me in a puzzle game," Ethan said, the frustration clear in his tone. "Parker, right?" Yes, sir. His name is Parker, but I call him Paw Paw," Jenna replied with a smile. Ethan nodded as both of them looked at the boy, who was now picking up the scattered puzzle pieces on the floor. "He's a smart kid, Jenna. A smart kid who could even outsmart someone like me, the so-called golden boy." Jenna blinked, unsure whether Ethan was serious. "I'm saying that as a compliment, Jenna. He's really good, and I enjoyed our game earlier." "Hey, Parker, I'll be back later to beat you," Ethan said with a grin. Parker turned to him with a smirk. "You still won't win against me," the boy teased, sticking out his tongue at Ethan. "Parker, don't do that," Jenna scolded, embarrassed. "You sure about that, kid?" Ethan challenged, sticking his tongue out right back at Parker, which made Jenna's jaw drop. Ethan quickly left the room, his footsteps heavy, but there was a sweet smile on his face. Finally, he had found someone who could challenge him in his favorite hobby, mind games. But at the same time, it irritated him that a kid had beaten him. On the other hand, Jenna was still in disbelief at her boss's reaction. He had acted like a playful child while competing with Parker. After the three of them had lunch together, Ethan and Parker had continued playing in the office, while Jenna focused on reading documents. Sir, are you sure you don't have anything important to work on?" Jenna asked, glancing up at her boss while he was deep into another puzzle game with Parker. "Do I have deadlines today?" he asked casually, still focused on the Sudoku board. Jenna quickly checked his schedule and shook her head. "No, sir. None at the moment." "Then it's fine. I can play against Parker." "Oh, no. I didn't see that," Ethan exclaimed suddenly, realizing he had made a wrong move in the puzzle. Parker giggled at his mistake, which made Ethan groan in defeat. Jenna, however, started to worry that bringing Parker might be affecting her boss's productivity. Yet, seeing how happy Parker was and how much fun he was having with someone who challenged him made Jenna smile. She quietly returned to her tasks, letting them play until it was already 7 p.m. "One more round," Ethan said. "Why? Because you lost?" Parker asked cheekily with a grin. Parker pouted, but kept his gaze on Ethan. "You cheated," he said stubbornly. "I cheated?" No way. Just admit you lost. Ethan laughed loudly, teasing the boy. Jenna secretly chuckled as she watched them, unable to help herself. The two continued playing until, "Yay! I won again!" Parker cheered, running over to his mother. "Mommy, Mommy, I beat him again." "Really? Wow, my boy is so smart. Good job," Jenna said proudly, but she stopped when she saw Ethan glaring at Parker, clearly frustrated at losing. "One more time," Ethan demanded. "No, you already lost," Parker replied, sticking out his tongue again. "No, come back here. Play with me," Ethan insisted, like a kid who refused to admit defeat. Jenna just shook her head at the sight of them, chuckling under her breath before returning to her work. Ethan frowned slightly. "What? Why are you laughing? Am I not allowed to ask?" he asked innocently. "Ah, sorry, sir. I just remembered how Parker acts when he wants me to buy him a toy. He looks exactly like you right now," Jenna said, still laughing. Ethan stepped back a little, his expression becoming serious. "Do I look like a kid to you?" Realizing that her laughter might have offended him, Jenna's heart skipped. "What are you doing, Jenna? Do you want to get fired for laughing at your boss?" she scolded herself silently. "Ah, sorry, sir. No, I think I was being selfish and childish, just like you said. Anyway, never mind," Ethan said, pretending to sulk. Sir, no," Jenna panicked, quickly touching his arm before he could turn away. Realizing what she did, she immediately let go. "I mean, yes, sir. There's no problem. Parker has no one else at home, so I'll just bring him to the office every day," she said with a smile. Ethan's eyes lit up with childlike excitement again. "Really?" he asked loudly, his voice brimming with joy. Jenna was startled by his sudden energy, and even Ethan seemed to realize how he sounded. He cleared his throat and looked away. I mean, good. That's a good arrangement," he said, forcing his tone to sound serious. The entire ride home, Jenna couldn't stop smiling as she thought about the roller coaster of emotions her boss had shown that day. She had initially assumed Ethan was just like all the other bosses she'd had before, cold, strict, and businesslike. But the more time she spent with him, the more she realized he was different. Almost a month had passed, and Jenna was slowly mastering her role as the CEO's secretary. "Mommy, I won again. It's 30 wins and 6 losses for me, Mommy," Parker said happily as he ran up to her. "Parker, don't run. I told you, no running in the office. And don't go into Mr. Ethan's office right now. You know he's still working. You can play later, okay?" "Okay," Parker said, standing in front of her while Jenna wiped the sweat off his face with a handkerchief. "But Mommy, Uncle Boss said we're going to play. He told me he doesn't have work," Parker added innocently. "What do you mean he doesn't have work? He has tons of documents to sign," Jenna said, frowning in confusion. Finally, she decided to check his office. Instead of finding him working, she saw Ethan sitting comfortably in a chair, glancing at a few papers, but clearly distracted. "Parker, let's play another round." Ethan stopped mid-sentence when he saw Jenna standing at the doorway. He had assumed it was Parker coming in. "Hello, sir. What exactly are you doing?" Jenna asked with a polite but slightly forced smile. Her clenched jaw betrayed her irritation. Ethan noticed it immediately and nervously looked away. "Jenna," he started. Jenna didn't wait for him to finish. She calmly walked over to his desk and saw the papers scattered all over. Not a single one had been signed. She sighed deeply, trying to suppress her irritation. "Sir Ethan," she said, with a sweet but firm tone. Ethan's heart skipped. He knew that tone. His secretary could be scarier than his brother Andrew when she was upset. In the month they had worked together, he had learned that Jenna could be surprisingly strict whenever he slacked off. At times, he even felt like she was more of a boss than he was. He didn't get angry at her, though. He knew she was right and he was wrong, especially when he chose to ignore paperwork just to play with her son. Sometimes he even pushed most of his tasks onto her. "Jenna, let me explain. I was going to do it. But he was cut off when Parker suddenly barged into the room. "Uncle Ethan, I found another puzzle. Let's play. Sure, let's... Ethan stopped when he caught Jenna's piercing glare. Sir, would you like me to tell Andrew before you finish this paperwork? Jenna said, half teasing, half threatening. Fine, fine, I'll do it now, Ethan muttered under his breath, shoulders slumping as he walked back to his chair. And you, Parker. I told you no running around. It's already late. Sit down and rest, Jenna said firmly to her son. But Mommy... Parker, she said, her tone commanding. The boy immediately fell silent. Both Ethan and Parker glanced at each other like two kids scolded by a strict mom. They would even exchange quick looks and subtle signals when Jenna wasn't watching, something she definitely noticed. Parker, I gave you something to work on, didn't I? Yes, Mommy, he muttered softly and returned to what he was doing. Sir, are you done yet? Jenna asked, arms crossed. Almost. See? I told you I'd finish quickly, Ethan replied with a forced smile. Good. I hope so, because you still have more documents to review, Jenna said, as she dropped a new stack of papers on his desk. What? Why is there so much? I already did a lot. Ethan groaned. That's your fault, sir. If you had started earlier, you'd be done by now, Jenna replied with a teasing tone, which only annoyed him further. Can't I do these tomorrow? Let me know when you're done, sir, because those need to be completed today. Otherwise, your brother will be angry with you again, she said before walking out, cutting him off. What the hell? Is this woman serious? Ethan muttered, pouting as he bent over his desk again. Later that night, after dropping Jenna and Parker off at their home, Ethan headed to a bar to meet his brother, Andrew. Hey bro, how's it going? By the way, your report was impressive. I checked it, and I'm amazed at how detailed it was, Andrew said with a nod. Well, what can I say? I'm the CEO, after all, Ethan said with a smug tone, only to get a quick smack on the back of his head from Andrew. Why not? Ethan asked with a grin. I didn't expect Parker would join the meeting earlier, but why not? He was cool sitting beside me. Right, Parker? Would you like to come to my meetings next time? You'll be the baby boss of the meeting. Really, Uncle? Boss? Parker's eyes widened with excitement. Sir, I don't think that's appropriate, Jenna started. Come on, Jenna, don't bring that up. Besides, that proposal was boring anyway. It's a good thing Parker was there. At least the meeting ended early and now we can all rest, Ethan said, turning his attention back to the puzzle pieces Parker had been playing with. Jenna couldn't help but smile as she watched her boss. She had expected him to be upset. After all, it was an executive meeting, but instead he seemed completely fine with it. Then she noticed something about him. Sir, are you thankful the meeting ended early so you could rest, or are you just being lazy? She teased, causing Ethan to freeze in his seat. Huh? He stammered, but before he could finish, Jenna dropped another stack of paperwork on his desk. Back to work, sir. Shall we? She said with a bright smile that made his face sour instantly. Inside, Jenna laughed. Earlier, Ethan had looked intimidating when he scolded Mr. Tan. Now he looked like a sulking kid who had just been told off by his mum. Her quiet laughter didn't escape Ethan's notice. This woman. She's actually laughing while making my life harder. This is torture, Ethan thought. On the other hand, Jenna couldn't stop herself from feeling something unusual toward her boss. No, Jenna, he's just your boss. Don't even think that way. Mommy, are you thinking about Uncle Boss? Parker suddenly piped up from behind her. Parker? What? Why would I be thinking about him? She said, flustered. You just said so, Parker insisted innocently. Jenna blushed. Oh, come on, get ready for bed. Did you brush your teeth? Yes, Mommy. Good. Go to sleep. We have an early day tomorrow, she said, ushering him away. The next morning, as usual, they went to the office. Jenna found Ethan sleeping on the sofa. Sir Ethan, why did you sleep here? Didn't you go home last night? She asked as she began organizing the papers and tidying the office. Mommy, look at this, Parker suddenly called. What is it? Parker, what are you doing? Jenna exclaimed, startled. Her son was stamping a dinosaur mark on Ethan's forehead while he was asleep. Moments later, Ethan stirred awake and saw them. "Oh, Jenna, Parker, you're here already," Ethan said, stretching. "Sir, why did you sleep here? Didn't you go home?" Jenna asked, concerned. Ethan yawned before heading to the small restroom inside his office. He washed his face and came back, brushing his slightly damp hair to the side. Jenna swallowed hard as she caught sight of him, his shirt slightly unbuttoned, his freshly washed face, his wet hair. Something about the way he looked at her made her heart skip a beat. "Good morning, Jenna," he greeted. "Huh? Oh, thank you. Good morning, sir," she stammered, feeling flustered. Ethan frowned slightly, amused by her reaction. Parker suddenly approached his Uncle Boss. "Uncle Boss, I have something to tell you. Last night, Mommy was thinking about you, and then she blushed, just like now," Parker blurted out. "Parker!" Jenna gasped, her face turning crimson. Ethan laughed as he walked closer. "Is that true, Miss Jenna? Were you thinking about me last night?" he asked teasingly. Jenna's breathing hitched as he stood just a few inches away. No, no, of course not." Ethan's expression suddenly turned serious. "Well, I was thinking about you last night," he said. Jenna froze, her heart racing, unsure if he was joking or not. "Yes," he continued with a playful smile. "I think about you morning, noon, and night, even when I sleep. Sometimes I even dream of you." "Dream of me?" Jenna asked nervously. "Yes. Even in my dreams, you're scolding me. I swear, you're even stricter than my brother Andrew, especially yesterday when I didn't finish all my work. I went to bed thinking, Jenna's going to scold me again tomorrow," Ethan said with a laugh. Jenna blinked in disbelief. She couldn't imagine being the villain in her boss's dreams. She felt a strange mix of embarrassment and irritation. She was about to say something when she noticed Ethan reading a document seriously. It suddenly struck her. "Wait, is that why you came in early today?" she asked. Ethan looked up. "Yeah. By the way, about this proposal, I think we should reject it. We have more pressing tasks to focus on, and the costs outweigh the benefits. I don't think it's good for the company," he said, his tone now firm and professional. Jenna found herself staring at him. Why am I only noticing this now? I know he's attractive, but he looks even more handsome when he's serious. I wish I could see him like this forever. Her thoughts were interrupted by Parker's cheerful voice. "Uncle Boss, let's play," Parker said, running up to him. Just like that, Ethan's serious demeanor vanished, replaced by a playful grin as he started walking toward the boy. But Jenna stopped him, grabbing his arm. "Sir, don't you have work to do?" she asked, her eyes narrowing. Surprised, Ethan held her arm gently and leaned closer. "Just a quick game. I promise I'll work after." "No, sir. You need to finish this first," Jenna said firmly. "Don't worry, I'll give you time later, baby." "Okay?" Ethan said with a wink. Jenna froze, caught off guard by his teasing tone. In the end, she gave up, finishing most of his paperwork herself while he played with Parker. Still, she didn't mind, especially when Ethan would come over occasionally to help her with a smile. "You know, you might be the only CEO I've ever seen who doesn't work," Jenna teased. "I am working. See? I'm signing these papers," Ethan replied defensively. "Right, Parker." "You're not just smart, you're handsome too, Uncle Boss," Parker said with a pouty grin, mimicking Ethan's tone. "See? Even Parker knows," Ethan said, pretending to brag. "Yes, Uncle Boss. Mommy, when I grow up, I want to be a CEO too," Parker said proudly. Jenna smiled warmly at her son. "Really, sweetheart?" "Why?" Parker asked with an innocent grin. "Because I want to be like Uncle Boss. He doesn't do anything but play." "What?" "I don't do anything," Ethan asked, visibly taken aback. "Yes, you do nothing, and your secretary does all your work," Parker replied, with the blunt honesty of a child. Ethan didn't know how to respond, while Jenna shot him a sharp look. "Excuse me, young man, I do work." "Nope, you're always playing. Mommy does all your work," Parker said again, crossing his arms. Jenna laughed softly, unable to hold back as she saw Ethan's embarrassed expression. She pulled Parker into a hug. "Sweetheart, I want you to be a CEO one day, but don't be a lazy CEO like this one, okay?" she teased, making Parker nod while Ethan looked away, still red from embarrassment. Ethan, who hadn't expected to get attached to Parker, was realizing he was slowly growing attached to Jenna too. Yet, he hesitated to admit his feelings even to himself. "Thanks again for dropping us off, sir," Jenna said as she got out of the car with Parker. Ethan scratched the back of his neck as if he wanted to say something but couldn't. Jenna noticed his hesitation and frowned slightly. Sir, is there something you want to say?" she asked curiously. Ethan quickly looked away. "No, nothing. Go inside. I'll head out now." "Okay, sir. Thank you again. Good night," she said. "Good night," Ethan murmured, his voice softer than usual. Jenna smiled. "Have a good rest, sir," she added, with a warm smile. Ethan immediately turned his back to hide his own grin. Even as he drove home, he couldn't get Jenna out of his mind. He admitted to himself that she was different, independent, strong, and admirable. She was the type of woman he wanted to protect and cherish, especially after seeing how resilient she was. But a voice in his head reminded him, "Oh, stop it, Ethan. She's your secretary. Be professional." He groaned and buried his face into his pillow that night, frustrated by his own thoughts. The next morning, Jenna woke up early. It was Saturday, and she didn't have work, so she and Parker went grocery shopping. "Yay, Mommy, let's buy pancakes!" Parker exclaimed excitedly, running toward the cereal section. "Parker, don't run, you might trip." "Ouch!" Jenna's eyes widened as she saw Parker fall after bumping into someone. She immediately rushed to him. "Parker, are you okay, sweetheart?" she asked, worried. But Parker didn't answer. Instead, he stared up at the person he bumped into. Jenna froze when she heard that voice, one she hadn't heard in months. She instinctively hugged Parker tightly and stood up. Before her stood a man with messy hair, dark eye bags, dirty clothes, and a forced smile. "Joseph, what are you doing here?" Jenna asked, her voice cold as she faced her ex-husband. "Jenna, Parker, I miss you both," Joseph said, stepping closer. Jenna quickly shielded Parker behind her. "Stay away from us, Joseph." "Jenna, don't you miss me?" he asked with a pleading look, his voice almost pitiful. "Can you stop, Joseph?" "We're over." "Why are you even here?" "Over? Don't you feel sorry for me, Jenna? I've lost my job, I'm broke, and that mistress of mine left me. I have no one else. Please, I want to change." "Forgive me," Joseph said, almost dropping to his knees, but Jenna's expression remained firm and cold. "Stop it, Joseph. Don't make a scene here." "I still love you, Jenna. Please, I love you," he begged. Embarrassed by the people starting to glance their way, Jenna slapped him hard across the face. "Joseph, enough! Leave us alone. You're free now, aren't you? Go back to your mistress," she said angrily, fighting back tears. "No, please. Have mercy on me. If not for me, then for Parker. He deserves a complete family. I promise I'll change. I'll be a good husband and father," he pleaded desperately. "Good father. Joseph, if being a father means being like you, I'd rather raise Parker alone. I don't want him to grow up like you," Jenna said firmly. Joseph's face twisted with anger and frustration. He grabbed her wrist harshly and yelled, "Jenna, please, listen to me." Before things could escalate, a familiar voice cut through the tension. "Is everything okay here?" Jenna's eyes widened in relief when she saw Ethan standing behind them. "Sir Ethan," she murmured, her voice trembling slightly. Ethan walked toward them, his gaze shifting between Joseph and Jenna. He could clearly see how distressed she looked. "Is there a problem here?" Ethan asked politely but firmly. "And who are you?" "Stay out of this," Joseph snapped. "I need to talk to Jenna. Jenna, let's talk. Come on," he said aggressively, pulling at her hand. Ethan immediately grabbed Joseph's arm to stop him. "Hold up, man. I don't think forcing her is the right way to talk," Ethan said, his tone suddenly colder. Joseph turned his glare on Ethan. "Who the hell are you? She's my wife. Back off if you don't want trouble." Ethan froze for a second. Her husband? He glanced at Jenna, who looked visibly uncomfortable. "Sir, I'm sorry," Jenna said softly. "Could you watch Parker for a while? I just need to talk to him." "Wait, are you sure? What if he—" Ethan hesitated. "Don't worry, Sir Ethan. He's my husband, and I won't let him hurt me," Jenna said, her voice steady, trying to assure him. Ethan reluctantly let go, nodding slightly, but his eyes stayed on Joseph. He walked over to Parker, who was clutching his hand tightly. As Jenna and Joseph talked a few feet away, Ethan couldn't help but feel uneasy. He knew Jenna was separated from her ex, which had made him think maybe he had a chance with her. But now, seeing her ex-husband again, fear crept into his heart. Yes, Jenna is special to me, and we've grown close. But what if they get back together? What if I'm left alone, broken? His thoughts were interrupted by Parker tugging at his hand. "Uncle Boss." "I'm scared," Parker whispered. "I'm here, Parker. I'm right here," Ethan said softly, hugging the boy. "Uncle Boss, I wish you were my daddy. I don't want to see Mommy cry because of Papa," Parker said quietly, fear and sadness in his voice. Ethan didn't know how to respond. His heart swelled with a mix of warmth at Parker's words and sympathy for their situation. Moments later, Jenna returned, holding Parker's hand. Her face was pale, her eyes downcast. Without saying a word, she left the grocery store with Ethan following close behind. They didn't even finish shopping. "I'm sorry, sir. You got dragged into this," Jenna said softly, once they were in the car. "No, it's okay. I didn't expect to see him either," Ethan replied. Silence followed. "How are you?" Ethan asked quietly. Jenna couldn't answer. Instead, she broke down in tears. Ethan didn't push her to talk. He simply stayed close, letting her feel safe. He knew she needed space, and he was willing to wait. The whole day, Jenna remained quiet. Only Parker spoke occasionally, and Ethan respected her silence. Still, Jenna was grateful. His quiet support made her feel lighter somehow. A few days later, Ethan noticed something unusual. Jenna seemed distant, lost in thought, and there was a certain heaviness in her expression. He figured it was still because of her ex-husband. Then one day, he saw her holding a bouquet of flowers. "Good morning, Sir Ethan," Jenna greeted quickly, trying to hide the bouquet behind her. Ethan's brows furrowed. Did Joseph give her those flowers? Are they reconciling? The thought filled him with unease and fear. By noon, his mind was still clouded with doubts. Unable to stop himself, he left his office and looked for her. But when he reached her office, only Parker was there reading. "Where's Mommy?" Ethan asked. "She went out, Uncle Boss. She said she had to talk to someone," Parker replied. Ethan's chest tightened. Without another word, he left the office and headed to the pantry, where she usually stayed during breaks. But people there said she had already gone outside. He hurried to the parking lot and saw Jenna talking to a man from a distance. "Joseph, what do you want? I told you to stop following us, didn't I? And what's with those flowers, huh?" Jenna's voice was sharp, filled with anger. Ethan hid behind a nearby pillar, watching closely. "Jenna, did you get the flowers? Your favorite bouquet. It was expensive, but I made sure they were fresh. I hope you like them," Joseph said with a forced smile. "Joseph, please. I don't have time for this nonsense. We're over. Ever since you cheated and I left our home, I've cut you off from my life. You have no place in my heart anymore. No matter what you do, I won't come back to you," Jenna said firmly. "Why, Jenna? Why is it so easy for you to leave and forget me? Is it because you never loved me? Or is it because there's someone else?" Joseph demanded. "There's no someone else, Joseph. But there's no us anymore either. I'm not stopping you from seeing Parker once in a while. You're still his father. But don't expect us to ever get back together," Jenna said, her voice cold and unyielding. Joseph's expression twisted bitterly as he let out a sarcastic laugh. "Oh, I get it. Is this about your boss? What's his name again?" Ah, that guy Ethan, Joseph sneered. Joseph, what are you talking about? Jenna asked, her voice rising. Just admit it, Jenna. Is this because of him? Joseph pressed, his tone dripping with jealousy. Ethan, who had been standing nearby but unnoticed, could barely move from where he stood. He waited for Jenna's answer, tension gripping his chest. There was a long silence before Jenna finally turned to face her ex-husband with fiery determination. Yes, Joseph, you're right. I do have feelings for him. But I know these feelings might not lead anywhere, and besides, he's not part of our story. Don't think I left you because of him. I left you because of you, Jenna said, her tone sharp and unwavering. So it's true. If it weren't for that boss of yours, you'd never have found another man for Parker to depend on, Joseph spat bitterly. Stop it, Joseph. Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I'm weak. Just because I'm raising Parker alone doesn't mean I can't handle it. I don't need a man, especially not someone like you. And don't you dare compare Ethan to you. Even if he acts childish sometimes, Ethan knows how to stand up and be a real man when I need him to, Jenna said, her voice full of conviction. Ethan could barely breathe as he listened. Her words made his heart leap with joy. He realized then that he truly loved his secretary. But along with the joy was fear. Fear that she might never feel the same way or that he wasn't good enough for her. Still, hearing her say all this gave him courage. He stepped forward, especially when he saw Joseph becoming aggressive again. Joseph, enough, Jenna shouted. If you're not going to be mine, then no one will have you, Joseph yelled, gripping her arm tightly. Let her go, or do you want me to press charges against you for this? Jenna and Joseph both turned their heads in surprise at the sharp voice. Joseph's face paled as soon as he saw Ethan. Without hesitation, Joseph backed away and took off, fear in his eyes. He knew who Ethan was, and that he stood no chance if Ethan saw him hurting Jenna. Consider yourself lucky, Jenna, Joseph muttered bitterly before finally walking away. Jenna, are you okay? Ethan asked softly. Sir Ethan, how long have you been standing there? She asked nervously. I heard everything, Ethan said seriously. Jenna quickly looked away, her cheeks flushing. She hadn't expected him to hear all that. Forget about it. I like you too, Jenna, Ethan interrupted, his tone firm. What? She asked in shock. I like you. Yes. At first, I was scared. I told myself I didn't want to fall for someone like you, especially because you're a single mum. I thought I'd never be ready for something like that. But the more I got to know you and Parker, the more I realized I can't help myself. I'm falling for you, Jenna, Ethan confessed, his voice warm yet steady. Sir Ethan. Don't call me sir anymore, Jenna. From now on. Before he could finish, Jenna leaned in and kissed him. Ethan's eyes widened in shock. Then shall I call you mine? Jenna whispered with a teasing grin after pulling away. Ethan, who had been stunned just seconds ago, slowly smiled, and then he quickly kissed her back. Yes, and you'll be my baby, Ethan said with a mischievous grin before kissing her again. From that day on, Ethan formally courted Jenna. She didn't say yes immediately. Even though she loved him too, Jenna wanted to feel that he was truly pursuing her. She wasn't the type of woman who gave her heart easily, and Ethan knew it, so he did everything he could to win her over. Despite the pain Jenna had suffered with her ex-husband, she found the courage to open her heart again, this time to a good man like Ethan. Parker, are you ready? Did you forget anything? Jenna asked as she packed his things. No, Mummy, I'm all set, Parker said with a grin. Her friend Gina peeked into the room, smiling widely as she watched Jenna fuss over Parker. Oh, Parker looks so excited for his school event. It feels like just yesterday you were carrying him to preschool, and now here you are, attending as his mom, Gina teased. Jenna laughed. She and Parker were still living with Gina, but Jenna planned to move out once she finished paying off the condo unit she had found. Well, of course I'm attending as his mum. What else would I be? His dad, Jenna joked. Girl, please. Back then you had to play both roles. But now? Oh, honey, you've got a real daddy. And not just for Parker, Gina said with a giggle, making Jenna roll her eyes. Whatever. We're leaving now, or we'll be late for family day, Jenna said with a smile. Sure, sure. Oh, wait. Someone's at the door. I bet that's Mr. CEO himself, Gina said, practically squealing. When she opened the door, they saw Parker talking happily to Ethan, who was waiting for them. There's your ride, Gina teased with a grin. Good morning, Sir Ethan, Gina greeted. Good morning, Gina, Ethan replied with a polite smile. Jenna, ready to go? Yes, just a sec. Parker, do you have everything? Yes, Mommy. I packed everything earlier, Parker said proudly. The three of them headed out together. That day was Parker's family day at school, and Ethan had decided to come along, playing the role of Parker's dad. Jenna didn't object. After all, 2 months had already passed since she had said yes to Ethan. In the time they had been together, Ethan hadn't changed. He was still playful and sometimes stubborn, but now he was also more caring toward Parker and even adjusted his work schedule to lighten Jenna's load. Yup, Mommy's with me, and Uncle Boss too, Parker announced proudly to his classmates. Uncle Boss? Why do you call him that? One of the kids asked. He used to be my Uncle Boss, but now he's my Daddy Boss, Parker said with a big grin. Jenna and Ethan both blushed and exchanged a glance. Ethan's heart soared hearing that, and Jenna noticed the grin that spread across his face, so she lightly smacked his arm. Hey, you're blushing like crazy, she teased. Of course I am. Did you hear that? He just called me his dad, Ethan said proudly, his grin widening. Ugh, whatever, Jenna said, shaking her head but smiling. What does your dad do? Another kid asked. Mine's a doctor. He helps sick people, one boy said. Well, my dad's a soldier. He's not always home, but he's really brave, another child added. My dad's a cop, another girl chimed in. Parker crossed his arms and grinned confidently. My daddy boss is a CEO of a company, he announced proudly. Some mums who overheard gasped and turned to look at Ethan and Jenna. Ethan, though flattered by Parker's pride, couldn't help feeling embarrassed. What does your dad do? A boy asked Parker again. Nothing, Parker said quickly. What? Nothing. Yeah, because he's lazy, Parker added innocently. The proud look on Ethan's face instantly vanished, replaced by embarrassment. Jenna burst out laughing at his expense. Parker, what do you mean nothing? I work hard, Ethan said, trying to redeem himself, but the other parents laughed along with Jenna and Parker. Scratching his head in defeat, Ethan could only sigh. After several games, Ethan was exhausted but happy, while Parker, who usually didn't enjoy group activities, was having the time of his life playing with all the other kids. Then they were ushered into a classroom for a new activity. Our next game is called Who Knows Best, Mom or Dad? In this game, both Mom and Dad will write down their answers to questions about their child. Are we ready? The teacher announced. Cheers erupted as everyone took their seats. Ethan, who had only been in Parker's life for a short time, suddenly felt nervous. He was close to Parker, but there were still many things he didn't know about the boy. First question. What is your child's favorite subject? Ethan and Jenna quickly scribbled their answers on their cards. After a few seconds, they held them up. Okay, let's hear it from Parker. Miss Jenna wrote math, and Mr. Ethan wrote... The teacher paused, raising a brow. I guess, snack time? Ethan said with confidence. The whole room erupted in laughter, but to everyone's surprise, Parker nodded. Mommy, I love math, but I love snack time even more, Parker said with a cheeky grin. Huh? Jenna's eyebrows shot up. She didn't even have the chance to argue because Parker and Ethan were laughing together, clearly teaming up to tease her. Jenna knew math was her son's favorite subject, but because Ethan had been frequently visiting them and often cooking snacks for them, snack time had become Parker's second favorite subject. The game continued, and the three of them simply enjoyed every single minute together, like a real family. It was already evening by the time the event ended. Exhausted, Ethan carefully placed Parker in the back seat while Jenna settled into the passenger seat beside him. What do you want to eat for dinner, babe? Ethan asked. I was thinking of cooking at home to save money, Jenna replied. Come on, today was exhausting. Don't bother cooking, okay? If you want home-cooked food, I'll cook for us instead, Ethan said. Jenna squinted at him, suspicious. And why are you suddenly so hard-working today? She teased. Ethan looked away, almost shy. I just feel like I haven't done enough for you two. Paw was right. I rely on you too much. Whether it's with Parker or the company, I'm not perfect, Jenna. But I'll do everything I can to be someone worthy of you, he said quietly. Jenna turned to study his expression, but Ethan kept his eyes on the road. She hadn't realized how much Parker's earlier teasing had affected him. Smiling softly, she reached over, took his hand, and looked straight into his eyes. Hey, Ethan. It's not that you don't do anything. You know, you're the brain of the company, and maybe your weakness is facing people. That's why I offered to help with presentations, and I admire you for that. You embrace your weaknesses instead of hiding them, and that's courage. I'm good at communicating, but there are times I don't know how to solve problems, and you're there to help me. That's why we're partners, right? We're here for each other, to balance each other out. I think that's what real love is, Jenna said sincerely. Ethan's once tense expression softened and a smile curved on his lips. Thank you, Jenna. Because of you, I've seen a different version of myself. I may not be able to do everything, but I'm no longer afraid to try because I know you're by my side. I promise, Jenna, I'll be the best version of myself. Someone who deserves someone like you, he said, smiling. Jenna smiled back, and slowly their lips met. They didn't waste a second, savoring the sweetness of the moment, until a voice from the back seat broke through. Are you eating my mum's mouth, Boss Daddy? Parker asked innocently, half awake, rubbing his eyes. Jenna immediately pushed Ethan away, flustered. Parker? No, sweetheart, we were just talking. She turned to check on her son, but he had already fallen back asleep. Both she and Ethan let out a sigh of relief before looking at each other, grinning. Shall we continue? Ethan teased with a sly smile. Ugh, just drive, Jenna said, her cheeks burning red. Ethan chuckled, clearly amused by how cute she looked when flustered. 3 years later, Ethan and Jenna's love only grew stronger. They often went out for dinner as a family, and sometimes they took a few days off just to travel and make memories together. To anyone looking from the outside, they were already a family. Both their families had met and approved of their relationship. All that was missing was a ring and a wedding ceremony. Ethan knew it was time to take the next big step to fulfill his dream, building a life with Jenna and Parker. Are you ready, buddy? Ethan asked Parker as he straightened the boy's suit. The two of them looked like father and son in matching outfits, a crisp white dress shirt underneath a black coat, with a small red rose tucked into their chest pockets, making them look extra charming. Wow, Parker, you look like such a young gentleman already, and so handsome, Gina said excitedly as she helped fix Parker's necktie. Auntie Gina, I'm not a grown-up yet. I'm still Mommy's baby. But yes, I'm handsome, just like Boss Daddy, Parker said with a wide grin, making everyone laugh. Moments later, Ethan and Parker went outside to wait for Jenna. It was Jenna's birthday, and as far as she knew, Ethan had only planned a simple celebration with their families. What she didn't know was that Ethan had prepared a much bigger surprise for her. Even from a distance, Jenna felt a wave of excitement. She wanted to see what Ethan had planned for her special day, and she was starving. As she walked toward the venue, she started hearing a familiar voice, Ethan's voice. He was singing a slow, romantic song. Smiling, Jenna found him walking toward her, holding a bouquet of flowers. Ethan, what's all this? You're so dramatic today, Jenna teased, laughing. Ethan just smiled and handed her the bouquet. Happy birthday, babe, he said warmly, pulling her into a hug. Thank you, babe, Jenna replied softly. While they embraced, Ethan whispered in her ear, Look behind you, babe. I have another surprise for you. Puzzled, Jenna turned around, and her eyes widened in shock. Behind her stood their families, each holding a piece of paper with large letters written on them. Putting them together in her mind, she read, Will you marry me, baby? Her heart skipped. Turning back, she found Ethan down on one knee, holding a ring box. Jenna's hand flew to her mouth as tears welled in her eyes. I want to build a family with you, Jenna. I want to wake up every day with you by my side and be with you forever and ever. Will you marry me, my love? Ethan asked nervously, his voice trembling with emotion. Yes, yes. I will marry you, Ethan, Jenna said through happy tears. I want to be with you forever and ever, too. Cheers erupted from everyone as Ethan slid the ring on her finger and pulled her into a tight embrace. Almost 3 years after Ethan's proposal, Jenna and Ethan finally tied the knot. It took time to annul Jenna's previous marriage with Joseph, but thanks to Ethan's family's resources, the process went smoothly. 2 months after the annulment, they got married, and Parker officially became a big brother when Jenna gave birth to their daughter, Gillian. Their life as a family was filled with joy. While Jenna occasionally feared repeating her past mistakes, Ethan proved again and again that he was nothing like Joseph. With trust and love, their bond grew stronger each day. As for Gina, she also found happiness with the man she met at Jenna and Ethan's wedding. Meanwhile, Joseph, filled with regret over his past mistakes, returned to his old home and decided to rebuild his life. The story of Ethan, Jenna, and Parker teaches us many lessons, not just about true love, but also about valuing ourselves. Like Jenna, we must learn to stand up for ourselves and know our worth, even when life tries to break us. And for someone like Joseph, who once made grave mistakes, it's never too late to learn, to change, and to rise again. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has fears, just like Ethan. But what matters most is having the courage to try, even when you fear failure.